Hello viewers, and welcome to another episode of Smart Thunder. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the second part of our Intercept mission. If you have not watched the first section of this video, part 1, please go and watch this now, otherwise it won't make sense. In this video, I should be covering how to set up a bomber squadron, and a variety of other things, including ground targets to destroy, and mission objectives in the Mission Objectives tab. So, assuming that you've already watched part 1, you'll now know that we've set up our intercept takeoff, and we will be at the point where we are in the sky ready to intercept any targets. So now what we need to do is make some targets. Let me show you how we do this. Okay. First off, we need to look down. Give it a minute. It's loading quite a big section of the city, unfortunately. But that's fine, I can deal with it. If we just look down. We go up to here. We've already got unit and armada selected, so we're going to create our unit here. Now we're going to tab off that by selecting the mouse. We're going to press P for the properties of this armada. I'm going to rename this armada Heinkel. I think that's how you spell Heinkel. Bomber. Oh, I'm going to nearly forgot. Bomber formation. We are going to change the class of this to Heinkel. And find it. These are all P-36s in disguise. That's what H-75 stands for. Here's a Heinkel. The Heinkel HE-113, 111 H3 is an H2 in there, but don't worry about that. We'll use the H6 just for ease. We're going to increase the number of aircraft here to, let's say, 30. That's a lot of Heinkels you can see over there. We're going to spread them out by using this tab called Num in Wing, which is the number in wing. We're going to make 4 wings. Okay? Their attack type will be fire at will. And now we're going to set up their weapons. Let me just find their weapons. There it is. Standard weapon. All of these here. I don't think you can get any exceptional weapons, but that's fine. We'll probably go for the largest bombs we can get, just because it's cool then. 8 250s or 2 1000s? Yeah, we'll have 2 1000s. We're not worried about bullet counts. Default and the 0 doesn't matter. So long as you don't change any of that, you'll have the number of bullets in your turrets as normal. Okay. So what we want to do now is space them out a bit. Just make sure I've spaced them out. Yeah, I've done that, I think. Oh, to be able to know when they're in flight. We'll see that, and I'll check it. But this ought to be good. Now what we want to do is create a third trigger. This trigger will be player in the air. So I'm going to create that now and rename it by going up to here in our object properties and mission information. And we're going to name it player in the air, as I just said. It's going to be enabled, and the conditions are going to be that the player is in area. There we go. I'm going to have to remember what the area over there is called just by clicking on it. It's the only one sticking out. There it is. Waypoint 1, I called it. So we'll change our target to waypoint 1. And that's our condition. And the action will be what unit wake up is what it's called. And what it does is whatever unit you've hidden will show it in effect. There it is. Our unit will be the Heinkel formation. And now what we have to do is go to start and make an action called unit put to sleep, I think it is. Yeah, there it is. And that basically does the opposite of unit wake up. It just hides it for a while. They won't act, they're not there in effect by making the unit put to sleep. That's the effect of the order. So you won't see them when you take off, and you won't know they're there until you pass through the waypoint we just set up. So now we have our Heinkels in effect, we could start this by just making it an intercept straight up. You take off, you go into the area, and you shoot down as many of them as possible. But that would mean we have to set some mission objectives, which we haven't done yet. What we need to do now is set something for the Heinkel's to destroy. And I'm going to judge the range of Stalingrad from here. That looks good enough for me. So what we're going to have here is a formation of long-range artillery. And how we're going to do that is by placing a unit. So let's go to structures, I believe. We're going to create one by making create unit here. And we're going to change its properties because its properties are set up to be a air race thing. So we press P and we change its name to dummy. Now you may be asking, where on earth is this going? It's just made a dummy. You'd be right. I do know what I'm talking about, however. And this is going to be target 01. And this is going to be what our bombers attack. Now, at the moment, it just looks like a piece of ground, just because it is. But once we've set it up, the bombers will just attack all across the area. So I'm going to go to move. I'm going to create numerous versions of this. One over here. Yes. Another one over here. And we're going to have to change the properties of these to be Army number 1. Army number 1. And Army number 1. Because these are our friendly objectives. This is what we don't want to be destroyed. This is what we must protect. Let me get another one of those. There we go. And drag it over here. So after a bit of thought, I actually realised it would be better not to make dummies and instead just make them all props that they attack anyway. So if we change all of these to U, and then we scroll down to USSR 152mm large, what that's going to do is make what looks like guns. Looks like Russian artillery guns, and that's exactly what we want it to do. I'm just going to go through all of these now, because I've changed them all to dummy, because I'm a dummy. USSR 152. You'll notice I'm using the large one just because it looks nicer. This one's not on large though. And I'll need to change that one's army to number 1. And what I'm going to do now is pretty fancy. I'm going to make 4 of them, like so. And we're going to have them in columns. No, we're not, because one of them's disappeared. Okay, we're not going to have them in columns. And we're going to make that 1. Formation Division 1. And what we've done, in effect, is made several artillery pieces. Right? So let me just grab one of these. If you'd be so kind. That's because it's over here. Hey. Uh-oh. For some reason, my selection went dead, which is a bit odd. But that's fine. Just drag it out, like so. I'm going to delete that one, because I don't want it there. And we're going to take this one instead and change its properties, because these are named as targets. It's much easier. So we're going to make the Formation Division 1, which means that there won't be any changes or alterations. There won't be 2 rows, there'll just be 1 row. I'm going to make it a count of 5. And we're going to move our artillery piece, or pieces, over here, where I can see them. Figure out where the rest of them have gone. Okay. I'm going to take that down to 3 because that's the only one I seem to be able to see. And then you got to do is make them onto a little raised platform. So you just got to pick them up. Oh, not that bad. Yeah, there we go. So now we have 3 artillery pieces, and we're going to put them into, no, they're facing the right way, you can see which way they're facing. So now what we're going to do is get them, it's playing up again, and select them, and we're going to rotate them using the green one so that they're facing Stalingrad. Oopsies. Yeah, that'll do. So right now I've made 1 out of the 4 targets I'd like to hit, so I'll cut back to you once I've done all of them. Well, you'll notice that I'm coming back from my video after I finished it. That's because when I say I test things, I find out that things aren't working. So I removed this clip of the video to tell you about what you need to change here instead. And that is that you need to make the player in the air tab not to do with attacking. Instead, you need to make it a unit wake up, which looks like this, with the target being the Heinkel bomber formation. The unit move to, the Heinkel moving to an area called target run, which you'll see later in the video. And then the mission marker's waypoint as not visible. Then the Heinkel attack is a separate thing, and that is basically once the Heinkels enter the area that is the waypoint for them to fly to, they will start attacking the artillery positions. Just so you know. In order to make this the perfect mission, what we need to do is set up a certain group of things that will pass the mission and things that will fail the mission. For example, if, say, all of the units in that target position over there are destroyed, then the mission is a failure. If, say, half of the bombers are destroyed, it's a success. Remember that this is a single player mission, meaning it will be pretty hard. So we create ourselves a new trigger, and this trigger is going to be called Heinkel Retreat. I'll have to remember how to spell it, retreat. And the conditions of this are the number of bombers left in the formation. If it is a formation, it should have been a formation, but I'm not so sure. And we want to see should be unit number of, something like that. Okay, so the condition is unit when count matches. It's far more versatile than using unit when less than, because that only gives you one option. So when the number of Heinkels is, how many was in the formation? 30. When the number of Heinkels is, let's make that 20. Excuse me. When the number of Heinkels is less than 20, a certain action will be performed, and that will be unit move to. Let me find unit move to. There it is. And let me create the marker, which will be the Heinkel escape point. So we're going to create a waypoint over here where the Heinkels came from. It doesn't really matter its size. I want its height to be about the same. We'll make it 1,200 meters. Oh, 200. And we're going to call this Heinkel Retreat Area. Like so. And now we're going to go to our unit and move to, and we're going to change that to the Heinkels, because that's the object that's going to be asking to move. And the Heinkel Retreat Area is where it's going to be running off to. And that condition is when the number of aircraft in the Heinkel formation is less than 20. In effect, what we have here is a mission. But you won't be able to leave the mission properly, unless you quit, without doing it this way. which is by creating a trigger and calling it mission success. It's got two C's in success. Excuse me. Now what we want to do is change the condition type to any, because if either of the two things I'm going to ask it to do, I think it's two things, happens, then it's okay. So the condition number 1 is going to be aircraft when in area, unit when in area, unit when in area. And object will be the Heinkel bomber formation, which reminds me I'm going to have to push this node, this point, back behind the Heinkels, otherwise it will count that, which would be inconvenient. The target will be the waypoint 1. I'm just going to have to move waypoint 1 because otherwise that's going to make the game really easy. Let's capture that. Oh. There we go. Just going to move it over this way a little bit. There we go. And what that says is if the unit enters this area, which it will if it follows the Heinkel retreat trigger, then the mission is a success, and we will deem this by making the action mission completed. There it is. And that's as simple as that. We also need to add another condition, which will be number of units, which I will find as unit when count matches. Object that the unit is asking for, it's a Heinkel bomber formation, and that will be is equal to none. Then, excuse me, it will also be a success because the number of bombers will be none, and then the mission would have gone down well. So this will activate if either one of those two things has happened. We need to make one for the mission failure as well, and there's far more things that can go wrong than there is that can go right. So if we make our mission failure like this, and make the conditions any, that also means if any one of those things occur, then the mission is a failure. So condition mission is bombing area destroyed. The target will be our I actually needed to change it to unit when count matches, because the targets I set up, that squad I set up, is actually units. It's not a bombing area. If it was a bombing area, it would have been a piece of cake, because all you have to say is if this area is hit, then the mission is a failure. But it's individual targets, which is what I want it to be. So we're going to set this as object, and we're going to ask it to set the artillery position. The number of the object type and the number of will be less than. How many positions were there? I think there were 12 positions, so we're going to make it less, and we're going to make it less than 4 positions are remaining. That means most of the bombs got through anyway. Then the mission is a failure. And how do we deem that? We make the action mission failure, which is there. We're also going to have the condition that if the number of players is none, then we will also deem that as a mission failure. When count matches, the player, let's make 3, and there's less than 1, it's automatically set to, the mission is also a failure. So that's it. What we've just done here is set up a mission, and I now want to go test it to make sure everything's working. Let's go, shall we? Of course, the last thing we need to do, it's kind of something I miss because I always do it just as natural, is you save it. And I'm going to save it under my user missions, and I'm going to save it as, what did I call it again? MiG-3 Intercept. There we go. Yes, I want to replace it. So in theory, this should work now. Now there's one more thing I wanted to make, just thinking about it. I wanted to make the action, and it is mission disable radio chat, because that thing is a pain. Right, there we go. So I save that, and let's play. Now I can't get it perfect every time, and sometimes I realise things I've done are pretty silly. Like the fact that my hindcalls didn't appear because of the logic I'd created, which is a bit silly. Also, I hadn't hidden the waypoint like I wanted to, so I'll just do that now. A couple of things I just need to sort out before I save this mission again. So that ought to be it for now. I'm going to save the mission and try it again just to make sure. So I've just spotted a glaring issue in my mission, which is a bit annoying. And it's basically the bombers are going to attack them in their own way, which means they're not going to go the right way for a bit. They're going to form up, and I don't want them to do that. Oh, wrong one. I'll get them to still attack the unit, but before that I want the action unit move to, and I'll set up a waypoint and let me just be over here, and I'll call this target run, properties, target run, no, not ton, run. There we go. And that'll be above. Oh, I have to do this. Up. There you go. You have to press up and down to move the selected one up and down in priority, because they all do them in order. So yeah, it will get all the bombers to move to this target run. Where's target run? There it is. Yeah. So that should be it now. I'll just go test it in game. So here we are. We made that little waypoint over there, the bombing target, and now the bombers are all forming up into nice little formations like they should do. They're behaving. Because last time I tested it, it didn't work. So that's it. Excuse me. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this video useful, please do let me know by commenting below. That will help me out a lot. Yeah. And if you want to see more helpful videos, do subscribe. There are more coming. Do check out the playlist as well. They've got more helpful videos. And I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.